Welcome, dear faithful, to the podcast that dives deep into the sabotage, betrayal, and murder of the current season of The Traitors. We are your Trader Joes, and we are here to discuss, wow, a 2-for-1 special. Not only were we gooped and gagged with the announcement of the finale, but then also the reunion being dropped on the same night. So we're here to do it all. How are you, Joes? How's the move?
Busy Joes, tired Joes.
Tired. Completed 75, 80, 90.
Everything is here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's about where we're at. This room is pretty good, and our bedroom is pretty good. And the living room's getting there. Kitchen is.
Are the dogs there, or they are boarded away? Not even.
No,
dogs are here.
They made
were
it
here
the whole weekend.
Wow. Friedrich is a nervous wreck. Even when we're trying to he sees bags and he's freaking out. So I could only. I mean, even when we moved from Florida to here, he was a nervous wreck for I think a month.
Wow,
poor babe.
I know. Okay, what are we having any Joes tonight?
We're having double bubbly Joe.
Wow.
Double bubbly.
I made a little
celebratory drink.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers. I made a little highball, but it's in a low ball glass. So
we're drinking some old champers.
Woof.
Something we found.
Finally get some use.
Pulled it from the archive.
Girls, we are here. We are here to talk finale. And we start off right away with the last turret. Kate is in there by herself. And Alan is literally like, well, here you are, girl. Here you are.
She didn't seem very enthused.
No, and I think,
she was over it. It was really clear.
It was very clear. I really think that being recruited and then getting that false pretense that we're coasting to the end, honey, because no one even. I mean, I don't think she suspected Phaedra being a traitor in the first place, but then Phaedra not really having a plan, I think, kind of ruined it because I think Kate is, even though she's a big personality, she's not a dominating mastermind in that way.
She's along for the ride.
Yeah,
she's not the captain.
She's not the captain.
She's not the captain on Below Deck.
She's not captain on Below Deck. She's literally staff. Okay.
Yeah, I think Chief Stew, which means she takes direction. I think I've never seen an episode, but she takes direction. She gets stuff done. She rallies people together, but she's not charting the course.
Her role on this show has always been react and comment.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Play along.
We love watching the game happen to you. Mm-hmm. And I mean, she even says it in this episode of I think I hated being a faithful, but I think I hated being a traitor even more.
Yeah. So she narrows it down. So, CT brings the muscle. So I think she's counting on CT helping out on that last mission.
Totally.
MJ has a shield. So it's really down to Sandra, Trishelle, and Sheree. And then she narrows it down to Sheree and Trishelle. And I guess she lands on Sheree because that would take the suspicion off. I don't disagree. It's just kind of okay.
I didn't see the Bravo. I think for a while the Bravo thing was strong, but I think at the end it ended up being more MJ and Kate felt kind of on their own, and it was Phaedra and Sheree that was just the tightest. And so I don't even think I don't know. I mean, it's hard when you're in it, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like she should have killed Trishelle. I mean, obviously, because Trishelle wins it. But I think she could have had a better chance of having a for sure ally with Sheree.
Yeah, she would have gotten
that. She could definitely
rally
control.
Right? Totally. I think with Sheree there, MJ would have been less suspicious. Yeah, even though she still said going into that last round table that she wasn't suspicious. She even says in a confessional, I think Kate is a faithful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Kate's, we can talk about Kate's fatal flaw later because she makes a really bad move.
Crazy
really bad move. But Sheree. It's so sad to see Sheree go after all of that.
Yeah, because I really would have loved to see her make it all the way to the end, truly. And it just the pieces were puzzling so much throughout the show to figure out who was going to be the eventual winner that I was like, oh, I don't know.
Not what we predicted.
Not what we predicted. We'll eat the crow right now. We will each eat one crow.
Yeah. However, let's start a crow count.
However, Sheree being murdered, I think we did predict.
Yes.
We said it would be Sheree or Trishelle. So as I'm watching this on Thursday night, I'm thinking
you were like, yes, let's go.
We got it. We're doing great.
We are getting Sandra that third crown, baby. Yeah. I know.
Just her Infinity Stone, like she's collecting them all.
Queen stays queen. I was ready.
Yes.
Oh, this is gonna be it.
Queen stays queen. All right, we get to breakfast. MJ and CT are safe. CT, they're kind of trying to like still count, like there's gotta still be one at max 2. And they're both talking about Kate's behavior. I think still from
acting a little sus.
I guess she was really mad at one like after
there was probably more than we saw
that we never saw.
Yeah. Something, because all we saw was the comment about her calling her selfish, and that comes up again. But yeah, there had to have been something somewhere where Kate, it was just probably all over her face.
Yeah. I mean, he was like, it was really personal what she said about Phaedra. And then I don't know if he said it or someone else said it, but it was like she couldn't even make eye contact with Phaedra at that round table.
And I think at that point she was just mad that she was going to have to like
do everything by herself.
Yeah, and I think she was probably doing the math that there wasn't going to be another recruit.
Right.
There wasn't going to be a recruit, and I think she has to like really manipulate in an active role more than she ever had to do.
I do think that if she had been voted out next, then it would have been fun just to see like how long it would take the faithfuls to figure it out. But like, I don't think at this point with 5, we were going to see another recruit.
No, I don't think so either.
No. So she says she did it, to cause confusion and chaos, but I think I don't think anyone's minds would change.
Yeah, no one was really. Yeah.
Well, hold on, but so CT says all this, and then MJ's response is basically like, oh, Kate is like faithful, and Sandra's a traitor because she's a gamer and she's a military woman.
What?
Uh-huh.
It's so funny because the theme of I really thought we had gotten over the gamer versus non-gamer theme.
Yeah, and we came all the way back,
full
and then
circle.
It comes up at that's like the major theme of the reunion is gamers are gamers.
Basically, the reunion kind of like seals the deal that like that's what this show was about. This first season is to show how that came to be. It's really crazy. So Kate comes in, she's safe. She says she really loves Sandra, but chose to keep her in order to keep the heat on her. Yeah. And she just needs to convince one more person because she knows that she's got MJ convinced too. So,
yeah. And I think what's interesting is after breakfast, we do get, a lot of Sandra narration. And so I think they're effectively making us believe that Sandra's like kind of like lining up her next few shots. She's talking about how well she's positioned, how many people she's close to. But I just think that like something didn't go right between Sandra and CT because they had that conversation and I thought they were good.
I thought they were good.
I just don't know what happened.
Was it just Kate? Kate's combo?
I think it may have just been Kate. And when we talk about the challenge, I think there was more time that really passed after the challenge. I think they went back to the hotel, changed. I think they had more conversations.
There were a lot of wardrobe changes within this episode.
Yes.
It could have even been a different day because of like how far they had to go.
Yeah.
Because when they do the like
the
anything
final
on the
day
lake,
has to be so long.
Anything on the lake is like it's a jump.
I also think
I think that messes with the time, which means there's probably a lot of car combos we don't see.
Yes. I don't remember definitively, but I remember between possibly breakfast and the flight, different outfits.
Yeah.
I definitely noticed when they came back, they were definitely different outfits. That I was
can we get someone on Reddit to like post the outfit chart?
Outfit count, yes. It's the same like counting how many talking heads Drag Race.
Yeah, they're not used. Yeah, this show does not care about continuity of confessionals. There's like they are not worried about Nancy Drew.
I mean, some of these outfits we saw like in the first half of the season confessionals.
Yes, are here. Like Sheree has like 2 talking head outfits. That's all she got.
But Sandra has the most.
Sandra has the most. So I was like, okay, this is telling. And Sheree, she got eliminated in her second talking head outfit. So I was like, oh, they eliminated her. And then they were like, okay, now we're just going to keep you for another like 30 minutes to cover the rest of the season. Yeah.
Can you respond to A, B, C, and D for us? Can you give us some stuff that we can use in post?
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Here's your meal voucher.
Have a great trip back to Atlanta.
All right. So we do see Sheree react to her murder note, and we see this like wonderful thought from her where she says, I've been figuring things out. And I know that Kate is a traitor. So it took all season, but now she knows. I wonder what
it was possible, but
I think again, this is like another example where something happened after that Phaedra vote. Something happened where it was just obvious that it was Kate.
That Kate was,
and I think that if Phaedra's gone, like Sheree's probably thought is like, we'll just take the next one out. She's probably thinking like, I'm next to go after Phaedra because we're a pair. Like, let's get rid of us.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. Yeah. So it is like after the breakfast, it's time for that last mission. We get a couple of quick combos, but I think that like the 2 things to note that happened after breakfast are, one, you do, like we said, we see Sandra and CT talk and say like, we think it might be Kate. Like she's been acting really strange. She came in late. So that's where like, I think as an audience, we're meant to think like, okay, these people are locked in.
CT sits down with Trishelle in the kitchen.
Basically they swap stories. So Trishelle, meanwhile, while that happened, Trishelle was talking to Kate and MJ trying to figure out what's going on. And that team seems to be on Sandra.
It's Sandra.
So it's going to come down to Kate or Sandra tonight. And then we get Trishelle and CT back together and they're swapping stories. Very Big Brother. What happened? What did you hear? What did I hear? We're here together. And so Trishelle is open to voting with Kate along with Sandra, voting for Kate along with Sandra and CT, but they just have to be on the same page.
But she says it so confidently on this talking head, and they show it to us that way that I was like, something's going to happen. It's so early in this episode to be like, we're going in tonight, and then and Kate's going to be out.
I really don't know where Sandra lost it. I don't know. It's not like she was acting like strange at the challenge. We didn't see any serious conversations that would really make Trishelle and CT like doubt her. I mean, obviously Kate tries to pin it on her. We see that car combo after the mission. We're jumping around because I think this mission was another flop. But like my hypothesis is like Trishelle and CT masterminded the whole like final stretch.
Totally.
I really think they did. But maybe that's giving them too much credit.
But
I don't know.
Okay, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
But then we'll get to it. But the final fire breaks.
We'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah.
But even here, I do think that the seeds are sown enough that there is still enough doubt in Sandra that I think.
Yeah, this was like the first time she got heat for being like a winner of another show.
I think it's all a CT flop. CT flipped at the last minute. And later on, we'll get to this, but Trishelle said, I needed to vote with the numbers.
Yeah, I needed to vote with numbers. So she probably at that round table, which we'll get to, like that last round table, felt the tides turning. Obviously, the way Sandra was responding makes it seem like she's going to catch a lot of votes. Let's talk about this mission, but then I really want to talk about Sandra. So
I know. This mission.
Oh my gosh.
Before we get to the mission, we got a spare shot of Fergus sharpening the beak of a stuffed flamingo.
No, he's polishing.
Or was he polishing it?
Yeah.
What was he doing?
We did not get enough of this B-roll throughout the whole show.
We got just enough.
How many hours of this B-roll is on the show?
More. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Release the Fergus tape. Release the Fergus tape.
I almost want Fergus to be like a true another character. Like for the first season, it happened way much more that Alan was like, Fergus set up this blah 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 for you to do. So justice for Fergus.
Anyway, so we go to the mission.
Flop.
They get on the helicopter. They go to the ocean. They can earn 30,000. Now as we know, they did this mission on the UK version of the show. I will tell you, it was much better. And they achieved much more successfully.
Just more entertaining.
They were better. They were faster. It was more entertaining. It was not a flop.
The time on this, an
hour?
Timing ain't that.
Can we see the receipts? Can we see the clock?
There is no way this was
There is no way. Those people were walking. They were on a stroll. Like, they were not even trying to hustle. You know what? CT deserves every dollar he won in this show, because
I really wanted him to just win it, but I know it
carried these dang missions.
There's we weren't able to do screenshots today, but the one screenshot I would have gotten was when he bends down to try and find it in the lobster traps, because his ass
donk
fills up the entire screen.
Full frame. Widescreen.
You can tell his camera op was like, oh, and I'm just going to stay right here. Yeah. I am just going to stay right here. So funny.
So what happened in the mission that's worth talking about?
That's worth talking about? Yeah. So there is a convo between Trishelle and Sandra that happens. Because what's really strange about this is that they just start splitting off, which I guess is a good strategy.
They're literally like CT's the only one that can physically do the detour.
we need to start walking so that we make it to the end, which again is just it's really weird that they could even do that.
They did not do that on the UK one.
And weird Trishelle was in there. She was couldn't handle it. She was I need to take the time to walk up there.
There was
MJ was way more active than Trishelle.
Yeah, there was just a lot of splitting up and a lot of just time and kind of confidence that CT would handle it.
Yeah.
So I did notice this combo between Trishelle and Sandra, where Trishelle basically says that MJ and Kate are a guaranteed pair, so maybe we need to break them up and then move on. Again, I'm like, what happened? Because I heard that and thought, oh, okay, this is kind of locking in this idea that
Kate will be
tonight a voting block is going to be Sandra, CT, and Trishelle. They'll break up MJ and Kate. It doesn't really matter which way. And I was thinking even okay, just knock MJ out now. Kate's that traitor, knock her out next, and then we're good.
I wonder if that was just conversation that was happening and they edited it in to show that MJ is so blinded that she is willing to go to trust Trishelle to make to the end. To show that she is in the mindset of just being a faithful.
Right now, please jump to the first episode and compare and flash forward to where we suddenly predict that Trishelle is main character energy, because I don't know where it came from.
I don't know where it came from.
The back half of this season is Trishelle.
We should have.
We know why. We know why.
We should have picked up on the Trishelle storyline that they're slowly building it.
Yeah, for sure. I did note that there's a point where they need to find something and Kate says, I'm good at maps, so we can add that to the list of things that Kate is good at. Radios, maps. Yeah. Many things.
I'm okay at maps. But,
MJ, and then MJ says, we got to find the hashtag combo.
Yeah.
Meaning it's the number combination.
The number sign. So, hold on. I want to figure out.
She's a social media doll. I don't know. Maybe she is.
How old is she?
She's
she's 51.
Yes, she's Sandra's age. Yeah.
How does she not know? She definitely had a corded phone in her home at some point.
I mean, that's LA, bitch. That's Persian money, LA.
Yeah, okay, whatever. So they basically get there. This is where the wildest math happens. They get to the boat with 3 minutes to go. They manage to raise all these flags, pull the final mask or whatever, which again, this is appropriate that Kate is the one doing this.
Yes.
They earned 20 of the 30K. It's CT. He carried this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. All CT.
They ended up making all of the money that they could make in this challenge.
Yes.
They make 50,000, so they are now up to $208,100.
Doilers. $100,000.
Doll hairs. Okay, let's talk about the post mission because, like we said, it's deep in the night.
This must be where it happens. This must be where it happens.
I think this is where it happens. I think they all went back to their hotels. They all went back to the Best Westerns and said, "Okay, wash up. We know you've been in the Scottish waters for like hours, allegedly just 40 minutes." And then on the drive, Kate and CT are on this car together, and I think they're just trying to kind of like spin the wheels, obviously, because I think Kate knows that she's probably in the hot seat, so she's just trying to get CT, which
the easiest one to throw it on is Sandra.
That's literally what I said. He is the easiest one to throw off with her Oliver chop.
CT's the easiest one to sway. Trishelle, no way. No. And maybe Kate knows that Trishelle will follow CT.
Yeah, she knows that it's a guaranteed. It's a two-person vote. Yeah.
So CT asks her. He asks her at one point. He says, "Like, are you a traitor?"
She's like, "No."
She's like, "No." I mean, and I think she actually has a pretty good response, which is, once I showed up, we started getting traitors out. Which I was like, that's not a bad response.
Not a bad response.
Good.
And I think CT's probably like, oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, CT says in the talking head, like, "Oh, Kate's very convincing," and it's like, okay, it's over. Like, he's flipped.
So here's what Kate says Sandra's name, right, in this car to CT, which later after dinner is what gets brought up that like, oh yeah, the girls say it's you to Sandra, which puts her in her defense line. But then somehow it turned into Kate telling Sandra CT's saying it's you based on what happened in the car.
She was playing them. She was trying to throw suspicion on CT as well. Like, I don't.
She took the conversation that they had of just saying like, well, it could be Sandra to Sandra and saying CT said your name. CT technically said your name in the conversation.
She's a gamer now.
Yeah, she's a gamer.
She's done this twice. She's an expert.
Which is so funny because the trajectory of Kate after this is very interesting to this moment because she says, "I'm manipulating. I have to play the game now." And she says she didn't like it, but she's very good at it. So
yeah, she's not bad. And then we even get like a confrontation or like a face-to-face before the roundtable where Sandra says, "CT tells me you're bringing up my name.
What are you doing?
What are you going to do about that? Where is that coming from?"
And Kate was like, "It was CT. I mean, CT said your name." And she
basically CT and Kate are just like saying the other one said it.
I'm not 100% sure that Sandra was buying this. Like, I think she's smarter than that.
And even
I think
CT
she just knows like my name's out. It doesn't matter where it doesn't matter who it comes from.
She's just counting the numbers. It's like as long as it's not 3 people that's saying my name. And she like CT even says it like everyone's just saying what they want to hear. So it doesn't really matter at this point. It'll just come down to the round table.
Yes.
So I would say going into this round table, CT looks the most frazzled, right? They don't give any pre round table Trishelle time at all because they've really established like we're going in
because she's just going to follow along.
Yeah,
like she's not really going to be a deciding factor tonight, and it's really like Kate versus Sandra.
Yes,
and it's just a matter of who can defend themselves the best. I think. In Rally.
So
final banishment.
At the banishment, CT starts and he brings up Kate right away. He said it seems like you were protecting Phaedra. Kate says the Bravo family thing. I thought she was a traitor from the start. But I wanted to get out Dan first because the order was important.
The pecking order,
Yeah, but then on the flip side, MJ then brings up Sandra. Says like I thought she was recruited. I thought it was weird that you were spending time with Phaedra.
Yeah, I think this must have been what got her in trouble the most is that she was so close to someone that was just,
Yeah. So, okay, we got to talk about this because Sandra is like, I have to state why I did that. And she basically said, I knew that
I was protected.
I was protected. I knew that if it wasn't Phaedra, it was going to be Sheree. It was someone in Bravo. Yeah, that it has just from numbers.
She called them her traitor angels.
Her traitor angels. So
yeah,
Sandra,
I'm sure she said
this is how she won Heroes versus Villains. It's so crazy.
Can I get a Traitor Angels shirt maybe on Etsy or something?
Sandra.
Like
this
posing.
is literally how she won her second win.
Yeah, so
right?
I am sure she said this, but we didn't get to hear it, of course, in the edit. But I'm sure she said, I was protected. She says, I'm good, which means I'm now here at the end. Like, it's not a bad strategy.
Yep.
And she knows how to protect herself and keep herself out of the line of fire, keep bigger targets than you, and make sure that she can get there. And like she had said before, the goal is to get to the end. Yes, you need to get traitors out along the way, but the goal is get to the end.
Yeah.
How this suddenly became her downfall is... And I also, just to flash forward, I don't feel like we got enough from Sandra at the reunion. I just don't think her storyline was like a big focus of what we got to hear, or big enough, in my opinion, because I think that that's probably what jumping from final episode to reunion. I was like, okay, I really want to know what happened to Sandra. That was like one of the two things.
What happened to Sandra? If this was a show that was about quote unquote the game, Sandra would be the main. This would be like her like deep survivor pull, but Kathy from like one of the old seasons. Like, it's the person who works really hard and then gets voted off fourth or third.
Are you talking about Kathy Vavrick O'Brien?
Yes. Old school Kathy. Yes. Like, truly. And because this show is not interested in talking about the game, this show is produced to talk about relationships, trust.
I think they talk about that in the reunion,
which they talk about in the reunion. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so good point. I think that became the downfall. She basically like says like, this is what I did in order to get here. That should prove
she played a good game.
Yeah, I mean, she also said, Dan was protecting me before Phaedra and Sheree were. It's like,
and I don't have the Traitors. I don't have the chart, but did she catch votes before this?
No. People said, Janelle said
she was like one of the few people who hadn't.
But because there was that tweet that like Sandra and Sheree had no votes. So Sheree is probably the longest person to last without getting a vote. Sandra, because I think they're also so pressed to try and find this one last traitor. I do think Kate coming in, the recruitment doesn't click for everyone completely. I think for MJ specifically, right? That she would fall for it. But I truly think Kate really got to CT. Because in the game, if people say your name, if you hear rumblings that it could be you have the alliances are gone, plans are gone. You're just trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And there's not enough time to respond. Which is like, that was like that was what Dan struggled with, was he needs time to react, build a strategy, kind of reestablish and kind of like figure out, okay, what are you suspicious of? Let me counter that. Yeah. There's no...
You have Dave and Big Brother. Yeah, I mean, then the next conversation is CT going towards Sandra as the traitor and saying like, I'm only slipping to this after
that car
conversation, right? And, Sandra's like, I got scared by what Kate told me too. And that's why like I put CT on my plate as a plan B. So like you can very clearly see that Kate's conversations with both of them did something to impact the way they were thinking going into this.
Yeah. Which is very fascinating because I guess I didn't think Kate had that much pull.
And it's like, what if there had been a convo after that, but before banishment, between Sandra and CT where they say, hold on, Kate's throwing your name, Kate's throwing your name.
This is weird. That's weird. Let's try getting out Kate. But just like we said, there's not enough time.
There's not enough time to get that point.
There's not enough time. But like that's how you know, because it's like we started with Sandra and CT earlier in the day, but they clearly didn't come back to swap and check in.
that's how you know Kate has played this game twice, because she knows the cycles. She knows she knows when she can drop something before we have to go to the round table. That's it.
Good. Yep. Like after, like there's not enough time between like mission, dinner, round table. Like there's not enough time.
Which I think that explains then her behavior afterwards of like, there's not enough time to defend myself too. Because once she skates by, there's no... And this vote, she literally noticed.
Plus her other terrible move that we'll talk about.
Yeah. So then Sandra immediately goes on the defense, right? And
it's so hard to see after the whole season.
She does the usual thing that they said all of the faithfuls do, which is say, you're going to regret this because I am a faithful. You're going to regret it just like you did Peppermint, just like everyone else.
She flashed all the way back to Peppermint.
Yeah. Dang. Don't take a chance, right?
I think they know because it was so bad. It really, and I always thought that Peppermint elimination was just hard because we love Peppermint, but no, it was universally bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's reaching all the way to the end of the game, they all know. So then they go to vote. And you see Trishelle changing her vote a couple of times, multiple times.
Yeah, she's up at the voting booth for a long time.
Yeah. Do you think she was thinking of putting Kate, or?
I think she was thinking about it, but then she was.
I think she was trying to read CT, and she wanted to follow along there.
Did Sandra end up voting CT, or did she stick with?
No, she voted for Kate. She was the only vote for Kate.
That's the thing. I do think
it was 4-1.
If Sandra. Because Sandra knew CT's not a traitor. That's the thing. She can't. She couldn't even be like, this behavior is traitor behavior, and we should all point at CT. It was just he had established enough trust that he's not.
Yeah, and this is very clear that like CT is a gamer, but he's not a gamer in this sense of like voting. He's a gamer in like physical strength and challenges.
Outwit, outlast, outplay, outplay for sure.
Yeah,
outlast. Yes, outwit.
Maybe not.
Not so much.
Mid. Is that what they say now? Mid?
Yes, very good. They get to the vote, and we said Sandra has the one vote for Kate, but everyone is piling the votes for Sandra.
Yeah,
Trishelle, CT switches. CT was the first one, right? Trishelle goes with Sandra as well because she knows that she will just be one vote.
Her defense is that she doesn't want to be like on the outs. She basically wants to vote with majority.
Now, Miss MJ.
Which, hold on. Sorry, pause. Hold. Like, is there a risk in not voting with majority? I don't know. Like,
it would be locked and they'd get to vote again and try and flip
anyways,
a vote.
Whatever. Go ahead.
It's Big Brother sheep voting mentality.
I'm just,
we all hate it.
They're just, again, though, there just doesn't feel like there's really repercussions from that. Like people don't really talk about other votes. So I just don't think there's really like a risk there, but whatever.
Miss MJ says, my soul is going to be crushed if you're not a traitor.
And Sandra goes, it will.
It will.
It will.
It will be.
So Sandra stands in this damn Nuva ring of truth or whatever.
Ring of truth. Oh my god.
And she says, I'm a fucking faithful. Trishelle says, oh, Sandra.
Oh, Sandra.
Oh, what a colossal mistake we've made.
Oh, Sandy.
And it seems like there is no time.
That's Grease.
Oh, good job.
Very good. Very good.
You can stay.
It looks like they go directly to the interviews with Alan, I think, while they're getting ready, and then they go, right?
I think they filmed those interviews at 5 or 6 before and only used the 4 that they needed. Because I do believe they went right outside because I don't think they had enough time to talk.
I don't think there was any conversation at all.
Sequestered them and put them on ice. They filmed those like a day or two before. So Sheree probably had an interview.
They're wearing the same things, though. Maybe they filmed it earlier. Maybe they filmed it after dinner.
I don't know. I just feel like they really do go from banishment to fire.
Yes, I agree. I think there was no time. Or maybe it was filmed after.
All the votes that play out from this tell us that there was no time.
Absolutely. We are in there.
I just want to like share something that I wrote down at this point. And this was like when this happened, I just wrote down. This is literally what I wrote down. What a wild game where being wrong helps you win. Mm-hmm. I just think like what other games do we watch and play where like you can mess up getting the wrong quote unquote person
in order
and
to
you
help
stay
you?
in?
Because that's
It's
the thing.
just weird.
No,
I mean, kind of Big Brother,
but this is why Sandra is played the game the best, because she sees that everyone is seeing getting to the end as not a goal. Yeah. Right? Like Trishelle and CT make it to the end, and maybe they are smarter than they think. They just have been telling us what they're telling us. But by making wrong decisions, they're still progressing in the game. And Sandra, I think, just like she knew that, even though she's still keeping tabs of like, okay, that was wrong, but I know my line of sight for who the traitor is to vote out is focusing so that I can make it to the end. No one is making it to the end as like a goal at all. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah, I wish someone was out there saying, okay, we know it's Kate, but let's save it.
But also, like, that's the point of the game. Like, you buy 10 episodes. It's 11 episodes. You can't eliminate the traitors right away.
But like, if it was us three playing together and we all agreed we were faithfuls, would we trust each other enough to say, okay, we know Casey's the traitor, but we can like get her next because we're 3 out of 5 is the majority. 3 out of 4 is the majority. Like, do we care who we get out with? Because we want to split the money.
I feel like we're at the point where the game will evolve, where people will start doing that.
Yeah, right. Totally. Which is what I thought was happening. Clearly not.
Clearly not.
I really thought that. Yes, we'll get there. But yes.
Yeah.
I also now the seed has been planted that we are going to play the Ampliverse Traitors when we go to our annual retreat. And we should play it traitor style, where it's not just like Mafia where we do it rounds per rounds, but it's like in the morning there's a banishment, in the evening there's a banishment. So like you get to like sow seeds of faith.
Catered breakfasts.
Catered breakfast.
I'm on it. Don't worry.
There will be boiled eggs.
There will be boiled eggs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get to the
cream cheese and preserves.
We can host here at the new Austin office headquarters.
Yes, and
lots of rooms for
side convo, and Kate standing listening.
All right, so do we want to talk about the Alan interviews? Or do you want to go to fire?
No.
Well, sorry, I just think there's one thing to note, which is CT does say to Alan he only trusts Trishelle.
Yeah, which makes me think. Okay, this makes me think they probably was filmed afterwards.
Maybe.
Okay, and they just asked you questions because I think it is genuine when they get to the final 4 that CT sees the opportunity that he takes.
You think?
I think so. Okay. I think they have played. We'll get to it. Let's talk about this final 4 because it's
all right. Okay, so the fire of truth happens, and we see Alan come up in his coming up. In his ceremonial bedazzled snuggie. I don't know.
I saw a tweet that was like, he serves looks all season long, and this is what we end with.
It's giving design challenge because the bedazzles look really cheap and like evenly spaced that I was like,
it is a bedazzler. Like it is giving like craft store gemstones. What? All season long? Anyways, we'll talk about our favorite looks at the end. But so first fire, we get to vote. Basically, so the way it goes, you can vote end game or banish again. Mm-hmm. And the first one to say they want, the first one to like toss their satchel in is Kate. And what does she vote to do?
End game.
She says to end the game. She's like, I think this is it.
Girl, there was a murder.
There was a murder. Okay, here's what I think. I think Kate already gave up after getting Sandra out, and the way everyone reacted that like, well, it's obviously Kate. And I think she's like, I would rather just bow out than have to lie and be like, well,
she should like looking back on it, Kate should have made sure Sandra was at that 4 so that they could have voted her out then and then ended the game.
They should have. They really should have pointed it at CT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Everyone votes to banish again, and like,
and it's just like
it's very clear. I think MJ's
and MJ says
Sheree was murdered.
Sheree was murdered, so there has to be another. And then you cut to Kate, and you're just like, what?
And I think she made. I think it.
I'm sure Kate's reaction was audible at that point.
Yeah, she's like, oh shit. So Kate just votes to Kate and just says like, I just have to put a name down.
Yeah.
So that's like even telling that like she really was just not. And here's what I think: this kind of she kind of gave up also in the first season in that last roundtable.
Yeah,
she's just in it for the ride.
Yeah,
and that's okay. That's okay. But I do think these things were.
I think it's okay when you're playing with all like reality people. I think it's okay
because she could have done it if she just worked a little bit harder. If she just messed up the order of those last. She just messed up the order. I also think if she had seen the Trishelle CT, if she was privy enough to like the mistrust that Trishelle may have had, she could have convinced Trishelle that CT is a traitor.
Mm-hmm. I think she could have. I mean, yeah, I think she could
but
she could have just spun up all the back and forth thing that was happening about Sandra in the car and all that stuff, and then that would have been enough because Trishelle's clearly like all over the place.
But with Kate, her only option to win is to convince is to make it to the top two. Because like if she survived, let's say if they all survived this and then they voted out CT, maybe she said enough. MJ still thinks she's a traitor. Do you know what I mean? Like Kate was already, as soon as Sandra left, everyone, it will not change that Kate is not a traitor, unfortunately. So I think that's why she was just like, well, let me just give up. But it's giving up. I do think that she gave up by voting yes. Because I know she knows that Sheree was murdered. So the math doesn't add up.
Okay, so then we're down to 3. So we've got MJ, Trishelle, and CT. First of all, I don't think anyone predicted we would see these 3 at the end.
Absolutely not.
I want to just ask, what was your reaction to this? Like, what did you think was going to happen next?
Or
did you think someone was going to banish again, or did you think no, these 3 know their faithfuls, they're going to?
I thought that Trishelle was the only one that was going to banish again. I did not expect.
You thought she was?
Yes.
Because why?
Because CT swapped to Sandra right at the end, and it was
so
the
you
final.
Thought she was going to vote to banish again because she was suspicious of.
I think CT. The narrative could have gone either way. That it led up to. Ultimately, she couldn't trust CT because of all of the things that has happened in the game, and that she couldn't rest on. Which the narrative doesn't go that way, but I think it could have gone either way. It would have been a big finish no matter what. Or that.
I think I was thinking that CT and Trishelle want the most money possible.
Yeah.
So they're just going to get MJ.
Okay, slow down. So
yes,
let's walk through it. So first, MJ Satchel goes in. She votes to end the game because MJ thinks we're all faithfuls.
We're great.
Then
I don't even think she know. They all know they're all faithfuls. That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
All of these decisions are just
so Trishelle's Satchel is thrown in next, and she votes to banish again. The MJ face crack is like
is so good. I want to wear it as a shirt. I want it printed.
Image of 2024. Like,
absolutely
is the thing, and so. Then CT's banishes again. And this is where I thought we were both thinking, I was like on my feet screaming at the TV. I was like, they planned this. They planned this.
Yes.
They're smart.
We're in it together.
This,
and I was like,
exactly
you know what? And at this point, I was like, this is another moment where I was like,
they got me.
Gamer and game apart.
This is a good strategy.
I'm in.
They got me.
This is good. Like, we haven't seen anybody do this before where they like know their faithfuls, but they're going to eliminate someone just to make money. I was like, just to make more money. This is great. I was like, this is entertaining. This is a good twist.
So that's what Jeff was saying, right? That they
that's what we thought was happening.
That no matter what, if there is an opportunity just to be us two, let's take it. Let's run with it.
And I was in for it. I was like, okay.
Because CT says,
I mean, if you had a friend... If you had a friend that you knew for 20 years or whatever, and you were like, we could split the money half ways or 3 ways, vote out the third. Like, you don't have any, I mean, I know you've been with this person. It's been emotional for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks or whatever.
But it is like
2 weeks. On.
No, you're right. Like, yeah, I can think of like relationships that I have with people where it's like we've had rough patches together, but if I'm there with 19 other people, but this person who I've had 20 years of ups and downs with, like I'm gonna go with them.
Yeah.
And there was this part like they're like the outcomes are spinning through my brain at this point as I'm watching it, where I'm thinking like, wow, like this is a story. Like the whole CT and Trishelle story, I was like, okay, they planned this. And then the votes happen.
So let's talk about these votes. Okay, so CT says MJ because I only trust Trishelle. That to me is like CT wants the money.
That's
CT
it.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, this is great.
It, baby.
So MJ's like,
who am I gonna?
The face journey on MJ in these like last 8 minutes. And I think
this is why MJ is still mad to this day, because she came out with egg on her face,
pressed like a panini, as they say, pressed
like a penny at Disney.
Pen era. It's a new era of being pressed.
Pressed like a panini at Joe and the Juice. Okay.
Crispy.
Okay.
She
votes for
Trishelle, and I truly think this is the mistake. Obviously, if she had just chosen CT would be out of there and the story would be finished.
Yep. So she obviously was like, I have to vote for someone.
And she picked
Why
Trishelle.
do you think she threw it on Trishelle?
Because, like we said earlier with the Sandra elimination, everyone believes that CT is faithful.
Yeah.
I think because when they did the fake out shield, the Peter Pals.
The Peter Berge shield.
The Peter Berge shields. By revealing it to CT, but he did not have the reaction that Parvati and Dan had.
Mm-hmm.
I think that established for everyone that CT is faithful.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish
he definitely got the edit all season that he was like true. Like he's like he is like the like
more so than John. John
archetypal. Trustworthy. He's pulling the weight. Yeah. You're right. Like, he had the cleanest edit the whole season.
I just wish MJ was privy enough to kind of be like, I thought there was a plan. I don't know. I wish.
Yeah. The other thing is that by being at the end with those two, she's also just on the outs. Like, there's not a lot that I can think back to this season of CT, Trishelle, and MJ like being in combos together. Like that they weren't really like.
Maybe she was riding off of like things that Kate was telling her of like, okay, like I've got CT,
the Sandra CT car stuff
from this last vote, but Trishelle is not on board with this.
Not on board,
right?
Or she is there seeing how CT makes the money for this pot, and she probably is like, well, if I want anyone to have this money, it should be the person that put the most forward.
I could see that.
That's fair. Yeah, like let me give it to him.
It just sucks, but I think it shows more on CT. I don't think he did any of this on purpose. I think it all became opportunistic when they got to that final 4-5.
Yes.
Truly.
Okay, so then what happens?
So then Trishelle votes for CT.
And
the scream I scrumped.
Of the century.
So Adam was watching it. Adam was next to me watching it. He already knew what happened. So the entire time he was just like, I can't wait to see how you see this. Literally,
I can't wait to see how this turns
out. Shut the fuck up. And then when that happened, I literally was like, I knew it. But I was convinced with my theory that like Trishelle and CT are breaking up. This friendship is now over. And Trishelle will
and that
realize,
was the story we were going to get.
And that was what we were going to get.
Wow.
So I do want to know what happens. So they're tied. So they have to vote again. I don't know what happens if they stay deadlocked, but
I think they keep voting.
They keep voting, or is it like Survivor?
They keep voting and then they draw rocks.
Yeah.
No, they have to see
fire making challenge,
boil an egg challenge.
Find Fergus in the woods challenge.
There it is. Find Fergus.
So Trishelle basically says, "I'm voting for CT because all of this behavior has been crazy.
I can't risk it. I just can't risk it."
And they, because they're deadlocked, they get to say one thing, and I wish MJ realized it then. Even if what they say, I wish MJ had just said it. That was like, I cannot believe that you two are going to vote me out in order to split this.
She saved it for the reunion.
I know she did, but I really wish that because it's more of a reaction. Because CT is like, we're gonna make the right decision, right, Trishelle?
Yeah.
And I
think he knew what the plan. He knew what the plan.
Totally. And I think Trishelle, I'm going to say, I think she did this to save face. I think she wants to be able to say in the reunion or anytime after this, no, I really mistrusted CT. There was a moment, but then this happened. Thank God for the deadlock. So that way I could be proved wrong. And the story is that friendships last forever.
So it's not like It's not like I'm the evil Trishelle.
Yeah.
I'm the evil Trishelle who...
I think we're giving her too much credit.
I'm the evil Trishelle who Twitter says voted out all the people of color.
I think she is capable. I think you cannot misjudge someone who has done this and has, as we've discovered, plays professional celebrity poker. These are moves that someone would make in order to always have something to fall back on. Of like, well, the tape says this.
Mm-hmm.
So
she came ready. She came to the reunion with an explanation.
Totally.
Yeah. Anyways,
the deadlock.
They revote.
Has to be voted again.
So CT votes for MJ, obviously, because that's the plan. MJ votes for Trishelle.
No change.
And Trishelle votes for MJ. She said I couldn't vote for my best friend twice.
That's telling. That's it. That's the tell for me. I was like, you already did it.
But you did it once.
You've already done it.
About this.
And so I think when she said that, I was like, okay, this was the plan all along. Because she could have just said like, CT is right. Like she could have been like, I was wrong, but she didn't. Yeah. She's being like, I just couldn't. That makes me, that's a tell for me. That's a red flag for me that she is so concerned always about like what people think about her.
Wow.
So you think that, I want to clarify because so many ideas have just flown through. You think that she legitimately mistrusted CT. You think her mind was changed and she came up with that explanation? Am I hearing you right? I'm going to say it back. I'm just synthesizing here.
Yes,
I want to make sure I heard. Did I hear you right?
I heard what you said, and I'm just going to reiterate.
Jeff, can you give us a moment?
No, I think she knew going into this final fire that CT would do that. I think they knew that they were going to be the top 3, and she knew that CT is going to choose to banish again so that they can split the pot, because CT doesn't care.
It was always in a plan to...
It was always in a plan to do that, but I think she pulled...
agreement that they were going to be the final 2.
I don't know. Yes, I think so. Yeah. I think they told each other, if there's an opportunity for us to just be the final 2, let's run with it.
Yeah, and I guess the good force of it is like, or not the force, like the way you can think about it is like they have to choose to banish again separately without each other. So
yes. And I think she chose to do this in order to make sure, because I think she already figured out that there could be.
And she knew that MJ was going to vote for her, so she was safe to throw the vote back to CT.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because she knew if MJ had to force a choice, MJ would pick Trishelle.
Because she's giving the clues all along. She's like, every time after every filming, I go back to my room and start writing notes. I write notes. I write all of these notes. Mm-hmm. You're telling us the things that you want us to catch, Trishelle. You want us to know that you are an iconic legend reality TV competitor without villainizing you.
Yeah.
People will study this for years.
But unfortunately, at the end of the day, she's not likable. I wish CT won the whole thing. I don't even care about MJ.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Phaedra feels the same way.
I was just having some interesting thoughts about Trishelle, but I'll save that for another segment.
Yeah, so MJ says, I'm a faithful, the end. And she storms out of there. And this is where gamer from game.
Yep.
It is kind of funny to see someone like just like not win.
MJ gets the show, Andy, right?
There's always someone at the end.
Bitter Betty. State. Yeah, bitter Betty. Someone's gonna get burnt.
Fucking Ari's still mad. Ari and Clinton.
They're all still mad.
They're all still mad. And Sari already spent that money, girl. Yeah. That money's gone. They share the money. Right. They split it.
Yeah, it's just
perhaps
we could
CT win.
You know, if I look back on the arc of this season, if I think about it, like, yeah, like that was one of the pairs that really had that story, like
solid
built,
story
that they were really building up. And we talked about last week how, like, you know, Sheree and Phaedra got that resolution. And so it is kind of poetic to, like, from a narrative standpoint, like it is really poetic to see Trishelle and CT win together. I just wish that they would been able to say afterwards, like, and this is how we planned it, because game wise, I would respect that.
For sure.
I just wish they would own up to it if that's really what they did.
Even if it wasn't 100% what they did, just say
even if it wasn't, just say it. Just like at
because
the end
this
of
is
the day,
thing.
It's a game.
In the, like, again, like, I haven't been on the internet a lot in the last 48, 72 hours. Been a little busy, but like, I don't actually see a lot of people saying like, wow, Trishelle and CT, like, I can't believe they fucking did that. Like, no, they're just like, look at MJ getting got.
Yes, they literally were like, well, I don't care, because at the end of the day, it wasn't Sandra. I think if anyone else won, no one would be ecstatic.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing, because I watched this last night and I was like, I'm not going to get on Twitter at all from Friday because I don't want to be spoiled. And I probably could have, because I saw no one talking about it.
No, there was lots of other things people were talking about.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just so interesting. Yeah. Like, well, actually what people were talking about is the reunion, which we can get to.
We'll talk about now.
Which we will talk about now. So
okay, so the first thing about reunion.
Can I just ask, before the reunion, what was your favorite Alan look the whole season?
I really did like the funeral. They got me. Yeah. When they said it's the funeral, it really
100%.
is. Totally.
100%. I will.
Yes. I'll review the screenshots.
Yes, review the screenshots
on the next episode.
We can post it and be like, "This was all. These were our favorites." But
I think the funeral.
The funeral was just too good and so dramatic, and this better be something that they do every year. I mean, they can. I think
it was the best episode.
That was definitely my favorite episode.
It was the best episode. It was good. It was really good.
I just have to ask before we even talk about the reunion. What was your overall take of the reunion? Just your overall watching experience. Yeah.
To the reunion is, why is this being hosted by Andy Cohen when we have a very capable host in Alan?
Yeah.
100%. I'm not a housewife, and I'm not a housewife reunion, and I'm not a Watch What Happens Live. I don't like the way that whole machine operates.
I'll go on the record and say same.
The whole reunion was edited like a Housewives reunion
to a show it was like it was an amalgamation of both, because all of Andy's questions, RJ in Chicago wants to know, and that's what I like. Did you watch? Did you watch the show, Tamar?
Yeah, they did the reunion. They were doing these. They were doing the let's see some of our best clips, which happens also in Housewives reunions. But the show is not a housewife show. That I was like, you are further. And I get it. I understand the business decision to do it, because it's like we're enjoying a game, but then people who aren't watching Survivor are watching this. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But it just felt so tonally different that I was like,
from the whole season of the show. Yeah, that's why we need Alan. But the other thing is that because of the way Andy like leads these, or like hosts these things, he's a terrible discussion facilitator in that he doesn't allow other people to like, he's like, oh, you just made a comment about Dan. Like, besides like back and forthing, like it's only one back and forthing instead of it's like, hey, what does the group actually think about? Like, people are like fighting to get their responses in because he's only worried about the confrontation.
Yeah. He just wants the sound bites because he knows how these are edited. Totally. I was having so much fucking whiplash watching this cuts because it was like, I was like, this is why I love the clips of Housewives reunions. I love the clips. Like someone going, where was the lie? Like I want those. But watching a full reunion.
I mean, I got a couple of them from Phaedra.
I was getting a headache because like I can't watch. My eyes literally hurt from the fast.
It's just you're right. Like the tone, the whole approach is just so different.
I'm thinking of other reunion shows, like even like the old school like Flavor of Love reunions, where it doesn't feel as these people are heated. just let it happen. It just feels so inorganic sometimes. It's like you're creating it with editing, when if you just let the tape run, they will say these things for you, and you don't have to edit it to like an inch of its life.
Now, there were some good or interesting looks. Trishelle was ready for the Hunger
battle,
Games, live show.
Yeah, she said, "I need my winter fit."
I did love MJ's look. I actually did like it.
Peppermint looked great.
Peppermint looked so good.
Peppermint had a good moment.
She had a good moment, and her moment is actually what I'm seeing talked about the most, probably because of the subsection of the internet that I ascribe to. But
did you also notice Johnny Bananas had like his arm fully on Peppermint's and I think that's just guys sitting on stools. You have to kind of lean in like that. But I was like, Bananas and Peppermint. That's kind of a hot team. I literally was like, I could kind of see it, because even the entire time was like, we should have showed them our fashion, blah blah blah. That I was like, I want to know if
I don't know enough about Mr. Bananas, so if any challenge folks out there can tell us.
Yeah, is he an asshole?
I still saw commentary saying at least the only good thing Dan did was get Bananas out.
Okay, so
I saw that tweet so many times in the last week.
Yeah,
for a couple days. I don't know what that's about.
Parvati made an interesting choice, which was deliberate, to not wear
a headband. Absolutely. Keep them wanting more, baby.
Yeah.
Keep them wanting more.
She's smart. She got that strategy.
Yeah. You know what they want, and then don't give it to them. Don't give it to... That's from Gypsy.
Are you proud? Are you happy? No Max. Yeah. He's on tour.
No Max.
He said, I got a job. I gotta work.
He's like, whatever. Who
cares? I'm dancing, bitch.
He's probably like, they weren't gonna ask me a question anyways.
Yeah. They didn't ask. They did not talk to...
Did we get any Deontay?
Yeah. He explained.
No Deontay.
Yes, we got a reaction, or we got him explaining kind of why he chose to leave, but that was the only moment we got.
Literally, but then silent. I loved Marcus and Larsa. I thought it was so juicy. I was like, okay, fine. Andy got me. Because Andy was like, you unfollowed each other on Instagram, and then you showed up the next day.
That's a Housewives moment right there.
Yes. And you know that obviously Larsa was like, Marcus, he's going to ask. So make sure you answer correctly. And I just...
Yeah, there was also the comment to Ekin-Su of you're recently single. Has anyone caught your eye? But we don't get...
They don't Peter answer. Thing. I think they're not getting...
But they're sitting right next to each other.
They're sitting right next to each other. And camera was like, I saw your mom post a picture of Peter. So it's interesting.
That's interesting.
It is kind of funny seeing how recent this was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of... That's really interesting.
It's happening right now. I really thought Janelle was the star of the reunion. I could have watched an entire live feed of just her reactions. They do watch the finale together of the final fire. And when she says she's not sharing that money.
About MJ wanting to banish again.
or Trishelle and CT.
Oh, yeah. So, which is do you think Janelle would have done the same?
Absolutely. I think she would have taken the opportunity.
She would have done it. She would have done it intentionally, and she would have owned up to it.
She would have owned it.
If she was at the end with anyone, I think she would have made a good case with any of the gamers. I mean, we have to talk about gamers for
that was the big topic of the night, which is that gamers win. Gamers are gonna win. Gamers gonna game.
It started obviously we said earlier in the season, and then it full circles here, because I really didn't think it was going to come back. But I think what rubs us the wrong way is if CT and Trishelle just said at the end of the day, I want to win $100,000 and I'd rather share it with someone that I know and can
and that's
lie.
The game. Yes, the game is about getting traitors out to win money.
To win the money.
The game is to win money. Whether you're a traitor or faithful, the goal is to win money. Did you not know what you signed up for?
Here's and I do think, because we said that last week too of our prediction of Sandra. Sandra would have tried to say that to MJ or Kate or MJ or Sheree, whoever that was going to be. That Trishelle and CT are going to run away with this money.
And you know who was not bitter? Sandra.
Because she was I was going to do the same thing.
She was like, you know what? you got me. You got me. And I'm going to show up looking great. And I'm going to like be on socials. And who did Peacock decide to send to like the Oscars? Sandra, Janelle, and Peter. But whatever. We don't talk about that. But like,
did you clock a little Peter Parvati moment at the end of in the reunion too? There is just because Peter was kind of like defending himself or whatever, and Parvati's just like, yeah, Peter just loves to talk about himself. Like, I was like,
Peter also tries to give Phaedra a rose. Cringe.
I think there's Parvati knows how to. She knows he can push Peter's buttons in like a sexual tension way that I think Peter can't handle, and she's just like, it's so fun to toy with a man.
He had a little crush on her.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
However, okay, the one thing we don't have on the list here is Phaedra and Dan.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So it is like well documented, right? In the production,
in all the press leading up to
interviews,
leading up to like the final.
The kitchen is busy right now.
What's Ratatouille doing over there?
There's a little rat on Adam's hair.
Like in the last couple of days leading up to the finale, in like that pre-finale press, it was kind of like after Phaedra. It was like Phaedra's exit press, which is like leads right up to the finale. So she like left at the perfect time. Like everyone wanted to ask, like, how do you feel about Dan? She was letting. Like, I don't like him.
I don't like him.
Yeah, I don't respect the game. I don't like the way he played. I don't think that's cool. And then what does she say about him at the finale or at the reunion?
Piece of shit.
She calls him a piece of shit. I was like, damn. So again, if the three of us have been saying tonight that like we respect the game, we respect the game, we respect the game. Like, well, what's your take on Phaedra's
thing with Dan?
Yeah.
I think this show has gone into uncharted territory, clashing these two worlds together. And as someone who loves reality TV in general, I am eating it up. I loved watching Dan squirm because he's like, I can't justify my way out of Phaedra.
It doesn't matter what
it doesn't matter what he says or what.
So do you think Phaedra's actually like pissed at him, or do you think she's just like, I know that this is what the people want. I know this is a good angle. Like this is going to keep churning the story.
Both. I think she genuinely, but she's also a person that's like, this man is not in my circles. I will never see this man ever again in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't
She's like, I don't know who you are before, during, or after this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is this man? Yeah.
That's why she said that with John too. When she was like, this isn't Parliament. And like, you can't say that because she's like, I'm never going to see you in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Phaedra going to like the reality Give Kids the World tour or whatever?
She's
like
going to Orlando.
On reality. She's doing drag brunch.
No, she's on a drag tour.
She's on that drag tour. Right?
She's got 4 shows.
You know who's not doing a drag tour? Dan.
No. Well, he came out of retirement. Yeah. Where's the allyship? Yeah, it was kind of interesting, but you're right. She knows. She's like, this is how I keep going. This is how I keep feeding the machine.
I do think there's truth to her words, but I think as we talked about, everything is bigger.
There's layers.
Bigger, totally.
There's layers. She is putting on a show, whether she admits it or not. I believe that she is putting it on for the cameras.
Yes. And I do think MJ...
we love that too.
And I think MJ is doing that to an extent. I also think that yes.
I think she's actually bitter.
She's actually pissed, but she was playing it up in the reunion. Because I do think that she understands that it's a game. What I didn't understand was why John was so like, it's a game, you lost, blah blah blah. I mean, John,
how many words do you have to get in?
Yeah,
John,
I didn't need to hear that. I didn't need to hear his
it's a game.
reactions.
Just enjoy that these people can't handle it and then run with it. You're not going to convince MJ and Phaedra that like, get over it. They're not gonna. And that's kind of why we love them. And that's why we liked seeing them do this.
Now, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Now, going back to Phaedra, do we think Phaedra was a good traitor game-wise?
Right. I think Phaedra was. I think she could have made more decisions at the end, but I think she was aware of the show enough that she probably wasn't. I genuinely think she had a hard time when Dan and Parvati were like in the hot seat. As soon as her name was mentioned, I really think, even though it didn't phase her, I think she was like, this is gonna spell it out for me. Because once you say my name once, it's always gonna come back. So that's when she was starting to like, well, let me at least build the people that I want to be in the finals. So
I think she was a great traitor.
I think she was a good traitor because she kind of took the game in her own hands and didn't feel pressured to just.
That's a good point. Yeah. I do wish she would have been more,
because I think she would have gone away with it. She could have won.
Who to get out. She deferred a little bit too much to the other traders who were possibly gamers.
Or Vanna White in the back. Over there.
Where in the money? I see it back there.
Deal or no deal.
He just has to work. So now he's just sitting. The joys of one bedroom apartments and co-working.
Wow. Yeah, we're on coming soon. Just built that. What'd you ask?
Phaedra.
I don't know. She was great.
Her possibly winning.
And you know what? I didn't know her well before this, and I love her now.
Didn't know a thing.
So there's a convert.
Didn't know a thing. I know. And people were like, I cannot believe these Bravo dolts are running the show.
Yeah, I think it was like a good evolution from season 1 in that the people, non-gamers could play such a big role. You mentioned this earlier, Jeff, like the game's going to have to evolve. So I think that the show has done good, like more than good enough now twice that people are going to come back. I think they have big casting shoes to fill because they got like everyone. Like it's kind of like I am kind of racking my brain of like, who didn't you get that you can get next? I mean, in Big Brother, you've already had. There's plenty.
About that on the next episode.
Yeah, I do think we should talk a little bit about our fantasy casting. We'll come back to it, but they've got big shoes to fill. But and I think in an interview recently, a producer said that like non-gamers or TV stars and TV stars, like they need to play separately. You get 2 different games from it, which is like what happens in the UK, and that's totally true. I don't think at this point the US comes back from this, or they just do different. Kind of how we have like celebrity Big Brother. We just need to have like Traitors normies.
I'd be open for that.
I would be open for that. I think they would be open for that too, to keep the fuel going. But I also think the US audience is more interested in the celebrity aspect of it.
Totally.
Sure. Yeah.
That I think now that they've broken ground and addressed this gamer versus non-gamer, I think,
just like, let's do it again.
I think next season, non-gamers are going to come in being like, I'm ready to game.
Yeah, and I think that like if there were people who maybe said no to an invite,
I think they're going to reconsider.
They are going to see what happened with this season, and they're going to say like, I want to be on. The
size and the impact of this show will give it momentum to get those names and possibly get more money for those names to be on the show.
Yeah, because like. I don't think anybody, like, sure, people flopped or had, like, their games were great or not, but, like, no one really had, like, a bad run.
No one came out looking bad. Even with MJ, she had such a good trajectory.
Robbed edit. You could say, we don't really, that's not really the reaction, but, like, you could give her the robbed edit if you wanted to, but, we will definitely, We'll figure out in the off season how to keep it going.
Yes.
We have some workshopping to do.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to do Bonniest look of the episode?
Or no. We already did Bonniest of the season. Maybe Bonniest of the reunion.
I think Peppermint. Genuinely. It felt the most like fashion. And she said it. But like it also felt like very elevated. And Ekin, the girls were out. Bitch.
The girls
were out. Ekin-Su, so I will give it to her too. She's such a. I mean, I love Ekin-Su's energy. I kind of want.
So she's on CBB UK. She's on Celebrity Big Brother UK right now.
Oh,
I don't know how that game works at all.
With Sharon Osbourne.
She's on Celebrity Big Brother UK
and did film the or
she started
just right after the filming. They filmed this reunion.
Right at
yeah, she took the red eye back.
Wow,
they got her on that Virgin Atlantic.
Yeah,
because I saw the Michelle Visage CDB UK, and I thought it was fun. And I saw Katie Price, Bimini.
So we know that Sharon Osbourne is on that season, Ekansu's on that season, and someone related to Kate Middleton is on that season, but that's all I know.
Okay, now that's a whole different podcast, and I can't speak on it because Adam will
allegedly. Yeah, we are not the subjects. We are not the experts. Yeah,
Kate Middleton. No, we're not. We're not. We're saving it for the other pod. Okay, then let's end it here. Who was your favorite player the entire game?
Well, wait. I want to do two things. I want to do who are you most faithful to of the final two faithfuls. And then who is your favorite player? I think if there was
this should be quick.
Yes, I think if there was an option to just have one winner, I would have wanted CT to win because he charmed me this entire show that I had just cast him aside as like, okay, he's probably like an arrogant like challenge player.
Straight white man.
But everyone that has like people were recommending us clips of like these are CT's best moments in the challenge. He's a catch that I was like, well, I saw the charm.
People? You can just name the name.
People,
like people commenting.
I know. So CT for you. What
CT with me.
You know, earlier in this episode, I had a moment where I was like, I think Michelle deserves this because she did it. Like, she was right in a lot of times when her alliance was not right.
Yeah. They even showed a little montage of her, right?
She outlasted those Peter Pals.
Yeah. She outlasted the Peter Pals. She's a little problematic.
Different podcast.
But game-wise, she was right more than CT, which is odd because CT was on the like other side at the pool table, you know, with the Gamer Alliance or with the other alliance. Ultimately, I've now flipped back to say I am most faithful to CT because he played a very clean, loyal, and honest game.
Okay. I'm loyal to Castle Daddy for sure. But like not just because he's like honest and loyal. Like that's not the goal of the game. I just think that he played a good game.
I think he just played he was genuine to himself, and I think is more of a testament to him as a person.
It's a good arc for him beyond the game over how many decades in it. Like he's been playing these games forever.
Yeah.
Since we were in like middle school, like
high school, maybe.
High school, yeah.
I mean, we got 3 generations here, so yeah, I think CT for sure. Okay, what was the other one?
No,
the most faithful
season.
I was gonna say Sandra, but I think she was just ahead of her time. No one was playing the game the way she was, and so it was unfortunate. So I'm gonna give it to Phaedra. She gave you entertainment, and she gave you like even like that genuine moment with Sheree, which I did not expect at all. Yeah. Like she really like came in the beginning and was like, I'm gonna be cold. This is gonna be fun, and realizing like, oh, I actually can't do it. It's too. I'm not the person, but I'm in the show, so I'm still gonna make it entertaining. But I will still leave with my head held high, and I have to commend her for that. So.
You know, I've been faithful to Sandra, the most faithful of the faithful for real. And I am staying right there because she is our robbed queen.
She is, absolutely.
Honestly.
Absolutely.
I don't need to explain anything else.
Phaedra.
Yeah.
For me, it's because I didn't know a lot about her before this. And she played the game, delivered. She made it to the second to last episode.
Yeah.
I really thought she was going to do it.
I thought she was too.
Thought she was
I don't think nothing about her story looking back told me she was going to win. Her story told me she was going to last.
Yeah.
And I think she made it really clear that she doesn't need to win.
Yeah, she doesn't need it.
She probably makes more than this prize pot in one episode of her other show.
Absolutely.
Like, truly.
Yeah.
And that says a lot.
Oh,
Joes, we did it, Joe.
We did it, Joe. Fully, we did it, Joe. So yes, I do think there are some fantasy casting. We'll keep our eyes and ears open for maybe like other rumblings, but it's not over for you, Joes.
Yeah.
It's not over. So
we'll be back.
Adam wishes that it's over.
He wants to be a Joe.
He doesn't want to be. He doesn't like the Joes.
Adam's like, no, it's done.
You need one night back on your producing schedule. I think you do.
He's like, give me back my Sunday nights. No, but I think I think we can definitely do an episode about fantasy casting. And if there's anything that comes up, just stay tuned to the Ampliverse social channels. The Discord,
Traitors adjacent.
Yes. Hop on over to the group chat. We talk about there too. So
we support our sister pod.
Absolutely. But we do want to say thank you to everyone that has joined us, because this was my first like true Traitors. And I think they really captured something really unique in this like American season that I think they're going to run with it. And I think we're going to see a lot more. So
stay tuned, Joe.
Stay tuned, Joe.
Joe-mentum.
Joe-mentum. All right, girls. Joes, thank you so much. And until next time, stay faithful.
Bye.
Discovering voices, building worlds. The Ampliverse.